Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Let's take a look at Proterra or PTRA. I want to take a look at these new slides that came out yesterday, and I want to take a look at the charts first with you. 451, this was the buy zone that we talked about previously, and I've been up and down on Proterra historically and said to steer away from this company this year if you're looking for big gains. Of course, that was because they did not start their second shifts and their complexity of their builds and part shortages they couldn't overcome for not only their bus builds but their batteries was a major concern, plus the risk factors that they uncovered or that they exposed in their filings. So that is the history of Proterra. I've been very bullish on this in the past, but then said, look, this might not be the year for Proterra, but it doesn't mean liquidate your position and move on and pick something else. It just means that you really want to be greedy with your money and find buying opportunities, which we did cover in previous videos. So last year, I seen the EV bubble, talked about this, talked about taking profits and coming in at a lower price point post SPAC lockup period, and we tried to follow this all the way down to the $6, to the $4. We followed this down multiple times, and then I came back and talked about it again in June and July as a buying opportunity. We haven't covered this very much because I just want to make sure that we cover it when it's necessary. Resistance up here at $7, and if you're on the Patreon, thank you so much for your support. That is in the comments below. If you'd like to join the Patreon, I'm doing these Proterra videos for those of you that continue to support that. I did let everyone know before this went to $7 that this was a sell point for those of you that wanted to take some profits off the table. And now I'm telling you that it is time to come back in. For those of you that are looking to gain off of this rally that I believe will happen after this FOMC meeting, because we will not go back to the Fed until November. So October is not going to be a Fed meeting. So there could be a short-term rally in the market, especially with Proterra giving some of its financials that really stand out from its competitors. Now, in the slide deck, I wanted to cover just one slide. There's a new slide deck that came out yesterday. I got an email notification. I still get these emails. So I'm monitoring this with everyone who's following, and I just wanted to let you know before we go into this next earnings, there could be some margin pressure that the company is still working on, but I am a little bit motivated by what I'm reading in these slides. So I want to go through some numbers. But first off, Ford. I just want to cover that Ford warns about these part shortages and higher supply costs. Higher supplier costs are expected to affect earnings. So we just want to take the indicators that we're getting from Tesla, from Ford, from any of these big players in the market, and just consider that these are global systemic problems that are affecting everyone in the market. Now, I have talked about Proterra risk. Didn't do a video just to talk about the 71 risk factors, but here they are bucketized and tip ranks as far as finance and corporate production. I've seen videos out there about these buses sitting on the sidelines, and I've seen pictures of people that I've talked to with windshields that are busted, and there's just complexity in the build, and I'm not sure how proactive the company's being on reaching out to organizations to make sure that these are fully functional, and PR there just doesn't look good. There seems to be an elevated amount of risk with the leadership changes from the old leadership to the new leadership. I thought that they needed time and the risk was elevated for this play, and there were just going to be opportunities to get in lower if this is where you wanted to put your money. Now, I do want to talk about the numbers real quick because ACTC, and originally when people were very excited about this, and of course the numbers are different, but this is what we were pitched. Proterra Powered and Energy, 114% increase between 2020 and 2025. You can see a 68% continuous annual growth rate, and Proterra Transit, 39% right here. This lower bar here is going to be the buses, and then we're going to have the battery. So you can see a significant battery ramp up as the buses stay pretty much incrementally growing. So what actually happened we had flat on the buses. They lost their president, and there was a big gap here with them missing an opportunity to really cover some numbers that they could have brought in some financials that would have done this company a lot of good, especially with trying to tackle such a large revenue target of 439. Now, obviously, they've revised this guidance, giving the fact that they're having trouble with supply chain issues and inflation and cost in general. So they have built up their inventory, but you can see that we are seeing that ramp up with Proterra battery. In Q4, they are opening up that new facility. So gross margin is where this company was really supposed to shine, and they failed to do that with only 4% and 1% attained within this year, with some negative inconsistencies here. So just really pressure on gross margins, especially with inefficiencies in production due to those part shortages. And that's pretty much the long story short with Proterra. Now, why am I excited about these slides? There's one slide that you really should just focus on, and that is going to be their gross margin improvement. And it's really this area right here. I hope that I'm interpreting this correctly, but the redesign for manufacturing and alternative materials, this could be a huge deal for structural improvements within gross margins. Now, the way I'm interpreting this is that their long lead times for manufacturing, 15 months, they could be redesigning that manufacturing process to build these components and sub-assemblies and do a better vertical integration, so that way they can speed up their overall manufacturing time. Battery energy density improvements, and then warranty cost improvements. Obviously, if you have better quality on the front end than on the back end, there's going to be less that has to be improved. Economies of scale, obviously, if they can go to a second shift, that is still within their arsenal to be able to deploy. And also with a new battery facility and labor hours normalizing and optimization there, supplier tooling investment, I'm curious to see how this pans out. Greater automation, I believe that has to do with the new battery facility. Freight cost normalization, this will not happen. I do not think that this is a realistic expectation. I believe we're still going to have higher air freight cost and freight cost in general. So this one right here, I would question. Resourcing volume discounts. I do know that the CFO in this last call did talk about some pricing increases, but it'll take time to realize those. The only other thing in here that I think I would mention, if I did focus in on another slide, would possibly be the fact that we want to look at these partnerships. Well, I want to look at the fact that they renamed their software program. I thought that was interesting. I don't know when this happened or what caused this to happen, and if something fundamentally changed within the software, but I would like to see some kind of notification as to when a bus goes dormant for more than like 3 months or whatever a determined amount would be, so that way they've got visibility on their fleet back home. I believe once you sell these, you just don't dismiss the fact that they're out in the field. I think the corporation should maintain a pulse, even though they're selling ownership to other facilities. They should maintain a pulse of what's happening with their fleet. They should build that into the system, and we shouldn't have reports of people having trouble, and they should be alerted as to when there's potential operational challenges or alerts or defaults, not just within the organization for them to be able to manage their own fleet, but back home somebody should be looking at the operation and opportunities to prevent a PR nightmare, I would say. So also the battery technology and its development, and they've got this confidential slide on here. Doesn't have anything on here that's really going to get me too excited, and it doesn't look like there was too much of a difference from the 4th generation to the 5th generation, besides of the overall look of the battery. But as far as the higher energy density and new 2170 cell chemistry on same module platform, increased in energy density and higher tooling investment. I mean, there isn't anything too innovative that's really taken place. It looks like there was a big change between the third generation and fourth generation, but be curious to see new news and the range, a 300-mile range with the amount of people and weight that goes into these vehicles. So what I wanted to see on this Proterra powered slide is, out of these OEMs, these 20 vehicle programs, when do we lose this contract, or how long does this contract go through? Like Nikola is got a battery, they plan on working on their own battery supply. So is this through 2025? That would be good to know on here, maybe just a number underneath. And then out of these, say, 5 vehicle programs for the class 3 through 5 trucks, is there the opportunity for 7 more, 10 more, 20, 30 more? And who out of the total addressable market, are there 5 out of the 30 that have their own battery supply like Nikola's working on now? So I mean, that would help me better establish on, what this looks like as far as Proterra powered being able to expand. So I'm sure that they have those data points. I'm sure they have a list of who they're trying to address. But right now, this just shows me a current snapshot, but it doesn't really give me visibility as to what's happening in the future or what they're working towards. It would probably complicate the slide, but I'm sure just a little pie graph over here or something to let me know, that the date in which this contract ran out. So VMC, is this till 2025, 2028? And Nikola, we have to assume that this is going to expire, or will they maintain their relationship as a secondary source? But then once their own battery sources open up, will they have a lot less? And will that have an impact on revenue? What portion of the revenue does Nikola represent in relation to these others? So is this a 10% versus, so there is some additional work that could have been done on the slides, and I'm sure we could go through and be picky with all of these. But those are just my general thoughts. This is probably a video that is going to be appreciated by those of you that have really followed Proterra closely. If you haven't, I know that this was a really high-level overview. Feel free to go back and check out some of those other Proterra slides. That's all I got. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.